Dave, congratulations on your new deal, extending your stay here until 2026. You must be very happy to get this done ahead of the new season.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, I don't think there's any secret that since I've came to the football club, I've been really happy. We've had some success. There's still the overriding disappointment of what the end of last year was, if you like. But just in terms of where I am and where the club are aligned in what we want to try and achieve over the next few years. So to extend my stay, like you say, is something that both parties wanted to do. So happy to be able to get it done.
And to have that level of backing and support from Mark, from Simon, the wider team, must be a big factor in your decision as well, because it's all geared towards giving you and us the best chance of success going forward.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. It is about the best chance. There'll be different things happen in football. There'll be clubs at different levels and with different infrastructures, but I think the way it's been set up here is like I say, is no secret. And I feel that, like I say, as a management group, as a playing group, as a club overall, we're in a great place to be able to go and achieve. There's over and over again, there's huge variables in football, and a game can be decided in a moment, in an instant. That's going to continue to happen. You have to try and minimise those variables, and with with what we have in place, and like you say, the support we have from behind the scenes, gives us a really good chance and an exciting and optimistic future to look forward to.
Obviously, in the short term, we know promotion is the aim this season. In the long term, what do you hope to achieve over these next 3 years?
Similar to where we are, you have to keep moving forward, and moving forward as a football club can be, I suppose, measured in lots and lots of different ways. There's always going to be the desire and want to win and get promoted. That's always going to be the case, regardless of where you start at the beginning of a season. Most teams will be in the same boat and will be aspirational in terms of what they want to go and achieve. I think we have to simplify it a little bit and take it a little bit deeper than that in terms of what we do, and we have to keep moving the football club forward, and that comes in lots and lots of different facets in terms of off the pitch and the academy that's been set up and all those different things around where we are currently and what we want to become, if you like. But ultimately on the pitch, it's about becoming a League One club as quickly as possible, and then seeing what happens after that. That was our aim last year. Like I say, we came awfully close and lost in, like I say, difficult circumstances. But what we have to do quickly is move on from that. It's been a short off season in terms of where we're at. There won't be huge change where we are in terms of personnel, but really looking forward to what the start of the season brings. And I think really what we can take from last year from this group is that, in hindsight, the start of the season was the bit that probably left us a bit too much to do. So the pre-season becomes very important. Like I say, we've got to be careful with players, because it has been a short break and a quick turnaround. But ultimately on August the 5th, we need to make sure we hit the ground running and get off to a positive start.
And when you do look back on last season, having had time to reflect and recover, obviously you came so close to that second successive promotion. What are the areas you feel we need to improve to make that next step next year?
You have to improve across the board to stand still. Let's be clear, just in terms of how the league looks. There's teams like we were the previous season coming into it who carry momentum, who carry the habit of winning games of football. There's teams that come into it that from the division above that'll be looking to sort of bounce back in terms of what they do. There'll be different investment in different teams. So every year it'll always look and probably feel that little bit stronger. So to stand where we are and stay where we are and finish fourth, if you like, we've got to get better across the board. We've got to look at what our squad is, where we think we can, I suppose, adapt in terms of what we want to do, because we were very good at certain things last year. I think we will all, certainly as a coaching staff, reflect on where we think we can make improvements to give ourselves different options, and we'll try and recruit or use with what we've got within the building to help that. It's been a constant, I suppose, moving target for us. I think regardless, it's more difficult to do through the season, because we went from, I suppose, 10 games in where we were a team that were devoid of confidence and struggling a little bit. We rebuilt that and got momentum and carried that momentum forward. Once you get that momentum going and you're getting results, what you don't want to do is change that in many ways, really, because you're getting reinforcement that what you're doing is right. And I think we got into that mentality, into that habit. This gives us a chance now to try and, first off, work on what we're very good at and make those bits a little bit better, but also try and give us different types of threats that we might have to use in specific games depending on certain opposition. Pre-season gives you an opportunity to do that without, I suppose, the important bit, which is the games being in the way. So an important, like I say, 4 or 5 weeks for us to hopefully give us lots of information and allow us to win football matches when we start.
And we're obviously very lucky to be able to start pre-season here in Pinatar, stunning conditions. From your point of view, from a sports science point of view, what are the benefits of these kind of overseas trips?
This is, like I say, it's massively beneficial. We've spoken about the importance of it and making sure we maximise the opportunity. We're very, very lucky in the fact that the facility we have at Carrington is an amazing facility. It's a championship training ground, and we're a League Two club. This is the first time I've been away in terms of my sort of managerial, especially a broad managerial sort of career, if you like. And it's a different environment. It's a brilliant working environment. It is different conditions. Weather's obviously really, really tough. It's a physical week in terms of what we're doing. There's a game at the end of it, which is obviously important, but the big thing is a different environment where players spend a lot of time together, be it in pairs in the room, be it in smaller groups, integrating new players that come in, allowing the sort of, I suppose, the injured players that aren't involved at the moment to have an impact in what we're doing, and spend some time together with no distractions. Like I say, there's lots of physical work that goes into that. There's technical work and tactical work that will go into that. And ultimately, at the end of the week, it's our first opportunity to get 45 minutes into most of the players' legs, and then carry that momentum forward when we go back to Carrington after the weekend.
I mean, you mentioned those injuries there. Great to see players like Watts travelling and Maka involved as well. Injury was obviously a big disruptor at the back end of last season. What is the latest on those guys and the fitness of the squad as a whole?
Yeah, I think it's listen, from a player's perspective and a management perspective, it's great to see Watts here and us be allowed to come here. He was off his crutches on Friday, so timing was brilliant in terms of not being able to get round. And probably that had been the case that he wouldn't be here. Be clear, without it sounding too pessimistic or without jumping the gun round where he's at, he won't be ready for the start of the season. If we can get him back by mid-October, I'll be delighted, and that will be with like I say, a strong wind behind us and no sort of setbacks. That's where we sit with him. With other players, like I say, who missed the end of the season, like a Maka, Will Collar to a certain degree. We're having to be careful with them. Like I say, it's been a quick turnaround in terms of the lads that have played, so we've got to watch what we're doing. But also the certain player, Maka, for certainty, has been out for a long time. So we can't rush that in any way, shape or form. But involved and hopefully we'll be ready for the start of the season. What happens and what's the tough bit to take in pre-season, especially when you're looking at changing in terms of how the squad looks, is picking up injuries, and that's an unfortunate part of what happens. We've picked up, like I say, one significant one with Stretz. Again, completely innocuous. No one close to him. Cody sort of half closing from behind, and he knee buckles and he's done his ACL. So he'll be operated on in 3 weeks' time, something like that, allowing the sort of swelling to go down and get some range in his knee. But that's virtually his season done. The focus for him now will be making sure that this time next year he's back and fit and available. So really, really tough for him. He's not travelled with us again because we didn't know whether or when he will be operated on. So he's the one that's missing from the squad. Obviously, all the players and everyone are gutted for him. We'll get round him, but what you've got to do is you've got to show some character and show some resilience and make sure you use it as a tough learning experience for a young player, but we'll get him through and he'll be much better for it when he does eventually come back into first team action.
Yeah, Strett's of course a big loss, and in addition to the injury to Kyle, has that had a change in your approach to the transfer window at all? Do you feel like you need another forward now to cover that?
Again, totally, always, I suppose, a moving target and a moving picture in terms of where you want to strengthen and what you can bring in. It's always going to be tough. You want to give yourself as many options as you can to play in as many different ways as you can. And in blue sky thinking, you'd say, yeah, you'd love to replace that and have two players for every position. That's not always possible with budgets and somebody potentially coming in, what they might see as a sort of stopgap for what's being out for 6 weeks, 8 weeks of the season or whatever it might be, and somebody else. So you got to be selective in terms of what you do. Like I say, we'll look at targets and we'll look to see if we think they'll benefit our squad and give us a different facet in the way we want to play. And if all things stack up, then of course we want to go into this season and be better than we were last season. Now that can be with coaching and us getting better as a group, but it's obviously going to be with recruitment and being able to play or get players that will make a positive impact on what we've got. So we've been pretty quiet with what we've done up to now. I'm not saying things are going to change drastically, but we're very clear on what our targets are in terms of profile of what we need to bring in. We've had to be patient, but hopefully that patience will pay off.
Yeah, I think Simon, when we spoke to him a few weeks ago, described it more as evolution, not revolution this season. Is there a feeling that actually, with large parts of the squad, continuity is the key to especially hit the ground running this season?
Continuity will always be the key. If you can, especially if you're successful, if you can be successful with one group of players and not have to make wholesale changes, then that's always going to be beneficial, because you have more players in the building that are accustomed to how you work. That's easier to pass on to other players. What you have to be at the end of a season, it's always difficult when you're potentially stepping up a level, because you have to make calls based on what you think might happen and how players might cope with the step up in some instances, and we're not that this season. So we're at the same level as what we were. Like I say, we have to move forward. But if you look at what we did and what results we got in the final 40 games of the season, that would have been enough for us to finish in the top three. We've got to make sure that those 40 games that we played last year become 45 and 46 games, and if that's the case, then we're in a very, very strong position with, like I say, a group of players that know what we do, that know each other, and can help the ones that do come in, and what quality we do add to, as I say, hit the ground running and make sure August is a successful month for us.
Let's just talk about the two players that you have brought in so far. Billy Chadwick, obviously very highly rated at Hull prior to his injury, and Ibby's pedigree at Salford speaks for itself, really. What do you feel like those guys will be able to bring to the group?
Yes, listen, Ibby, first off, great experience for the level, really good in terms of versatility. So we see him playing potentially as a left-sided centre-back, certainly as a left-back, certainly as a left wing-back. So, and is the right type of character, is a winner, is massively driven, athletically is perfect for what we want, and will be like I say, I think he'll be a really, really good player for us, and will take us on to potentially that next level in terms of what he brings. Billy, yeah, a little bit of a different one with Billy. I've known Billy, known of Billy quite a while, with his loans that he had. I previously tried to take him to Hartlepool when he was at Hull on loan, but he was sort of made to go over to Ireland for a loan that didn't work out for him, and has had a really difficult 18 months in terms of injury. He's got himself back to a level, gone out and scored goals at the back end of last season, granted a few levels lower than where we're currently playing. But when we signed Billy, so we have a clear development plan of what we think the next sort of 3, 6, 9, 12 months look like. But he's travelled with us, and to be fair, he's been a breath of fresh air in terms of what he's done, shown real quality in terms of his finishing, above the level that certainly he scored goals at last year. So no, a really, really positive one. So we'll see where we are at the end of this week, and we'll have a discussion. But both, like I say, are fitting into it really well. It is a It is an easy group to fit into. There's a really good bunch, so that's not a difficult transition period, if you like. It now becomes the football side of it and getting as much physical stuff and information into those two as much as possible to understand what we are as a team, if you like, on the pitch, and what we need from them in certain situations. This week will help that, and certainly the next few weeks will only reinforce what we want to do.
Appreciate your time, Dave. Just got a couple of stats for you here from your time at the club so far. So 97 games, 56 wins, 170 goals scored, a first trip to Wembley in 15 years for the club, and of course that National League title win. It's been an incredible 2 seasons so far. If you had a message to the fans ahead of the next 3 years, what would that be?
Hopefully more of the same. Like I say, I feel very fortunate to be in the situation I'm in currently, in the fact that I'm hopefully here for the next, certainly for the foreseeable future, the next 3 years. I think first when I came into the football club, I said about building optimism and the club having a special feel about it. I think that's only been enhanced by what we've done. Absolutely, there's some disappointment and there's still that hangover in terms of how it feels from last year, but the future's really bright. As I said, even at the back end of last year, this football club will become a League One football club. We hoped it was last year, it wasn't. We have an opportunity straight away to make sure it's next year. Stick with us, I know they will. I'm even over here already seeing lots of supporters in and around the hotel and coming to watch the game, which says a lot about where we are. A really, really bright future, and one that I'm delighted to be involved in.
Thanks for your time, Dave. Go and enjoy the sunshine.
Cheers, thank you.